The best summer memories are made outside, and LL Bean has the clothing and gear you need to make these memories. Their effortless styles are created for summer spent outside with family and friends. Like hand-sewn boat shoes, coastal cotton sweaters, rugged polos, and, of course, the iconic boat and tote, which has been made right here in Maine since 1944. LL Bean. Be an outsider. Visit llbean.com to learn more.
British Spy Stories Season 6 Counter-Strike Episode 17. Despite the house in Forte de Marme now being full with members of the Orlov family and their MI6 protection team, there are no sounds in the place as Gabby walks into the lounge in the middle of the afternoon. The sun beats down hard across the rear patio, and she can see Inessa on a lounger reading a book under a large blue sunshade. Gabby steps out onto the paving and drops down to sit on the next lounger to the matriarch. "I wanted to talk to you," she says. The other woman's irises react as she pushes her sunglasses up onto her forehead. "How long have you been married, Mrs. Orlover?" 30 years. Her eyes curl into a brief smile as she answers. "You know your husband well, then?" The Russian woman doesn't say anything, but waits in the light for the next words. "Do you think he's been faithful?" "No." She's curt and matter of fact. "It doesn't bother you?" "Russian men do that. British men too, don't they?" Gabby ignores the question. "Does he have a mistress at the moment?" "No." "You sound certain." "I've always known when he had mistresses. He didn't need to tell me. It was written all over his face." Gabby can see the woman is happy to be open, so she continues. "I've been authorized to tell you something, Mrs. Orlover. Your husband wants to defect to the UK." "Nonsense." "He told me so himself. MI6 moved him covertly from London to Amsterdam, and he and I talked en route." "Are you sleeping with him?" Inessa's eyes open very slightly wider. "I'm trying to keep you, him, and your children safe, Mrs. Orlover. We lost him in Amsterdam, then found him in Prague, but he ran from us. Do you know why he would run?" "Of course not. I don't believe any of this." "Your son said your husband was here in the house, and that he was being chased, presumably by the SVR trying to get him back to Moscow. Alexei is their enemy now, and that means you are too." Inessa's mind rolls in her skull, trying to make sense of this new context, but she doesn't show it on the outside. Gabby tries a different tack. "Once we get you and your children to the UK, what sort of life do you want? We can arrange new identities for you all." "My family is going to return to Moscow as soon as Alexei has sorted out a little misunderstanding." "They won't let you live, madame. Your husband is too senior. He knows too much about SVR operations." "We're staying here till he returns." Inessa's anger crashes out of her brain. "My husband promised me that he would come and get us. As soon as he is back, we're leaving. Your MI6 colleagues just need to keep us safe until then. I know him. I've known him for 30 years, since I was a girl, more or less. You can't play your silly little games to try and split us up. I've never let him down, and I'm not going to gossip about Alexei to satisfy your curiosity." "I'm not asking you to betray him. We all just want him to stay alive, and for you to have a long life together." Inessa moves her sunglasses back down to cover her eyes and pretends to read her book again. Gabby stands and walks back inside. On the stairs, as she goes up, Veronika is coming down. "I heard the two of you talking from the bedroom window upstairs. I can tell you something." Their eyes lock each other's gaze. "Come with me." Veronika leads them to the second floor, and a corridor that runs right across from one side of the house to the other. There are 2 doors at the end, and Veronika pushes through one of them and shuts it after Gabby has joined her inside. There's an open suitcase on the floor, and a woman's clothes spilling out of it.
I heard what you were saying to Mrs. Allova.
And?
Her husband does have a mistress.
Who?
I need money.
How much?
€5,000.
As part of the preparation work for this MI6 operation, GCHQ had created personal profiles for all of the significant people connected to the family, including Veronika. Gabby's mind flicks through what she knows about this woman. Veronika Istov was born 26 years ago in Grozny, the capital of the Russian Republic of Chechnya. Her parents worked in minor roles in the government when Russia invaded the country in the 90s to keep it as part of the motherland. When the Second War ended, her father got a new job, and the family moved to live in Moscow with their new baby girl and their 4-year-old son, Samuel. Samuel was a delinquent teenager. He dropped out of school and slid into a life of petty crime, drug dealing, and burglary. Veronika didn't rebel like her brother, and achieved high grades in school and at college. By the time she was 21, she got a job as a multilingual assistant in the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's where she first met Major Ilin. He was a middle-ranking member of the Russian Security Service, and his job was to liaise with the ministry and, in particular, with Veronika's boss. They had started their affair when she was 22. He bought her expensive clothes and took her out to dinner in Moscow's finest restaurants, where the maitre d'hotels don't talk about the young female companions of the important men at the tables. When Ilin found out about Veronika's brother Samuel, he was very interested and wanted to meet him. Subsequently, Samuel did jobs for the major. But Veronika only found out later what sort of jobs they were. "All right," says Gabby. "We'll pay you. What's the name of the mistress?"
"Money first."
Gabby pulls out her mobile phone and links to the part of the MI6 system that is used to pay informants and bribe foreign assets. She asks for Veronika's bank details and makes the transfer. The young woman checks the funds have been received on her phone, then pushes it into the back pocket of her jeans.
"Her name is Francesca Marino."
"Where does she live?"
"Rome. That's why he's in Italy. 24 Via Vigilio, near Castel Sant'Angelo."
"Does Mrs. Allova know about her?"
"No."
"Is it serious?"
"You'll have to ask Francesca."
"How do you know about her?" says Gabby.
"It's my job to know about the family."
The profile on Veronika hadn't included anything about Major Ilin recruiting her into the Russian security service, but that could still be the case.
"I'm here to make sure they're all right,"
she says. "Did Major Ilin ask you to look after them?" says Gabby. Veronika doesn't answer, which is as good as a yes to Gabby's trained senses. "What made you tell me?"
"Just the money?"
"Of course.
What else?"
"It undermines Mrs. Allova. Is that something you want to do?"
"You've got your information,"
says the woman.
"I'm not saying anything else."
Gabby leaves her and walks along to see Luke in the comms room. She has 2 tasks for him. Firstly, to check the name and address given for the mistress. And secondly, to delve more deeply into the background of Veronika and her connections to the Russian security service. Back in the bedroom, Veronika waits for the sound of Gabby's footsteps to dissolve away in the distance. Then she dials a number on her phone and puts it up to her ear.
"I told her."
The voice at the other end says, "Including the address?"
"Yes."
"They'll research that address before they do anything. But it will check out," he says. "And when MI6 visit, I'll be waiting." Tom ditches the truck's tractor unit on a bare concrete road that goes nowhere. It had been once planned to be the start of a new housing estate in the far northeast of London. only a 10-minute walk from Epping Station, the terminus of the Central Line, on the city's underground network. There's a sports clothing shop 2 doors down from the station, and he buys a baseball cap and a zip-up top, in an effort to make himself less visible while he travels. He changes at Bank Station, deep beneath the bowels of London's financial core, then comes back up into daylight at King's Cross. The final information that Colonel Golovkin had told Tom, as he was leaving Moscow 12 years ago, was about the arrangements for escape from the UK, should that day ever come. And now, that day has come. Travel documents had been planted in King's Cross back then, and refreshed every few years by diplomatic staff from the Russian embassy to keep them up to date. Since then, though, King's Cross has been comprehensively redeveloped, and Tom is lost at first as he tries to find the route he needs. He eventually finds a footbridge over the Regent's Canal to reach his destination, the St. Pancras Old Church. He traverses the criss-crossing paths of the church's graveyard and slips into the nave. The place is only 30 feet long, with whitewashed walls and hard brown chairs for the congregation. He shuffles across the back row of chairs to a dark metal plate set into the wall. He pushes one side of the plate, but nothing happens. He pushes again, and his fear starts to rise up. His fingers turn white as he pushes harder. Then suddenly the plate moves a few millimeters. It hinges open, away from the ancient stonework. Inside is an iron box set into the wall that contains a brown leather bag, tied at the neck. He tugs it out. Tom closes the plate back up until it clicks shut. Then he hurries away. He stands near the famous hardy tree in the grounds with its pile of old gravestones. When he opens the bag, Tom finds a British passport in the name of David Franks, with his own picture in it, and 2 bundles of cash, £1,000 and €1,000. He retraces his steps across the canal and goes into the vast cathedral-like St. Pancras station, where he buys a Eurostar ticket and queues for passport control. As the train pulls out of the station and curves around to the east to circle London, Tom thinks about Lara and her betrayal of him. He accepts that MI5 probably pressurized her. Maybe they were even holding a gun to her head. Now, he doesn't think he wants to be with her again. By the time he arrives at the Paris Gare du Nord, dusk has started to draw across the architecture of the city. He has no specific plan and just walks, then eventually turns into a hotel that he picks at random, and he books a room. Tom realizes he's hungry and emerges into the busy streets of the Faubourg Saint-Denis district. He finds a bistro in the back streets and orders pizza and beer. The place is one large room, with tables squeezed into every corner. Locals are eating and talking all around him, and he's glad that he can be anonymous. There's a boy selling Le Monde newspapers on the street corner opposite, and Tom attracts his attention. The boy runs across and hands him a newspaper. Then Tom pushes euros into the boy's fingers. Colonel Golovkin had taught Tom to read French as well as speak English, and Tom reads the latest evening news about France as he tries to forget the events of the last few days. He is on his 3rd beer when a small dark-haired man with a beard approaches his table. "Can I join you, Dmitri?" Tom says nothing as the man sits, but neither of them take their eyes off each other. "I am Karigin. I'm here to help you." Tom doesn't react. "My friends in Moscow tell me you killed Major Ilin." Tom turns his eyes back to the newspaper, but he's pretending to read now, and he scans the same 2 lines 10 times before Ilin says, "I understand why you did that. I know about Lara and what she was forced to do." Tom looks up again, wondering how much this man knows. If you do one thing for me, Tom, I'll pay you enough money to go anywhere in the world and never work again. It sounds like a trap, but he hears his own voice asking the obvious question anyway.
What's the one thing you want me to do?
Kill a man. You've already demonstrated you can do that easily with Major Illin.
Who's the target?
He says. A man called Alexei Orlov. He's a senior officer in the SVR and a traitor. Kurigin picks up a briefcase from the floor beside him and delves his hand inside. He pulls out an envelope and puts it down on the table between them. This is 10,000 euros as a down payment, plus a ticket to Rome. That's where Alexei Orlov is.
How do I know you'll keep your word?
Says Tom, exploring Kurigin's craggy face. You don't, but I don't want the knowledge of you killing Illin to get into the hands of Interpol. One simple task, then the rest of your life in peace, far away from spying. Tom wants to strike this man hard in the face, but the last 4 days have given him more selective control over his emotions. The train ticket to Rome leaves Paris Gare du Nord tomorrow at 11 in the morning. If you're on the train, I know you've accepted my terms. In Rome, you're booked into Hotel dei Consoli on the Via Verona, near the Castel Sant'Angelo. There'll be more instructions in the room.
Instructions?
He says. More information about the target, the places that he frequents, and the options for his death.
Who are you?
Says Tom. A peacemaker, says Kurigin.
Don't give me that marketing bollocks. How did you know I'd be here? How did you know about me killing Illin?
Kurigin's face doesn't move an inch as Tom admits to the murder. I'm a go-between, Tom. I work with the SVR, but with other security services too. I'm non-aligned, helping out where I can. Take this phone. You threw your old one away, I hope. Kurigin pushes a new mobile across the table to him.
Are they watching me?
Says Tom.
The Russians? Is that how you knew I was here?
It was my network of contacts who found you, Dmitri.
Is Lara all right?
Kurigin nods, and the briefest smile flows across his eyes. Tom doesn't say any more, and Kurigin starts to stand up. I'll be seeing you, Tom. I'll get back in touch with you in Italy. He puts 2 fingers to his temple and makes a salute, then spins on his heel and disappears into the crowds en Rue de Chabrol. The next morning, in the Gare de Lyon, the Parisian station that takes people south, Tom walks up from the metro, shows his ticket to the woman on the gate, and takes his seat on the train in first class. As the carriages pull away from the platform, Tom looks at the lunch menu. A blonde-haired woman in her early 30s, sitting along the carriage, types on her laptop, and her eyes flick upwards towards Tom. The second time she looks, Tom looks too. She smiles, and he returns it. A waitress takes the woman's lunch order, then approaches Tom's seat. He orders cassoulet of king prawns and Sauvignon Blanc.
Sir,
says the waitress, when he has finished ordering. He looks at her.
The lady asked if you would care to have lunch together, as you're both on your own.
The waitress turns briefly to the blonde-haired woman 20 feet away, and they smile at each other again.
Of course,
he says.